Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to the Centaur, your 2024 mid-year reading from Planet Waves. I am Eric Francis Coppolino, your friendly neighborhood astrologer, here with a focused look at the astrology of the spring of 2024, which basically falls in a kind of an epicenter of your solar chart or your Aquarius rising chart, if that is what you are. And I am basing most of this discussion on this event. Exciting, isn't it? April 8th, 2024, just coming up in a few weeks from now. And this event includes this conjunction Moon, Sun, Chiron, exact at 1924. Look at that. Look at that. 1924. That's impossible. Moon, Sun, Chiron at 1924 plus Mercury conjunct Eris within 3 arc minutes at the same exact time. And then these kind of events here, all streaking basically from Aquarius, your sign, out through Gemini. For you personally, it looks more like this. Aquarius is here, early Gemini, where the action more or less ends, is here. And so it's really more of a trine, about 120 degrees. In the Aquarius incarnation of this reading, we begin with Pluto in your sign. And it is a big deal to have Pluto in your sign or your rising sign, either way, which is likely to be one that you are. It's also a big deal to have Pluto in your 7th place. That's Leos are going to be experiencing that for a while. And the reason it is so vital and valuable and crucial and helpful and necessary for you to have Pluto coming through Aquarius, is because Aquarius is the sign of fixed patterns. It is the sign of pattern formation. And it tends, I think, more so than ever in our time of history, when there is so much pattern formation going on, to be a very fast calcification that it never actually can break. It can kind of be crushed and maybe reconstituted in some way, or it can be broken and then something else can come in. But the kinds of calcified patterns associated with Aquarius tend to not be in any way mutable or malleable. And this is a very dangerous situation because it makes it difficult to work with a process of gradual incremental change. And the reality is that unless there's some kind of a heist going on, most change is gradual incremental change, and most change is outside of our ability to regulate it particularly easily. There seems to be this confluence of environmental forces that are only minimally subject to the individual will. And what we have going on now is we are living in this collection of patterns that have accumulated over some very long period of years. We're probably in cumulative calcified patterns, at least going back to 9/11, about 23 years, when there was another massive shift in the patterns, and I think the beginning of full digital conditions. And most of the patterns that we are living with and that you are experiencing are the result of the imposition of digital technology on us. They tend to be invisible patterns. Almost all of them are. They are whole environments of services and disservices to which people have largely surrendered their sense of their own reality. And I think a lot of that activity and that pattern making on the cultural level is contained in your sign Aquarius. There's also a lot of that pattern making contained in Aries, and that's more on the individual level. And the two work together. They are a very significant kind of astrological dyad, rarely thought about as such. And for you, it looks a little bit like this. Aquarius here, that's you. And Aries here, where much of your Aquariusness manifests in Aries as being a person whose identity is centered on your ideas, and as a person who values ideas, and as some morph of an individualist and a collectivist. And Aquarius is never quite really sure where it stands on that individualism collective issue, but it's, I think, in many ways largely a factor of figure and ground. And so you are usually figure, but now we're talking about something influencing the ground of your being and the ground of all the social patterns that surround us, which is Pluto entering Aquarius. And we have not even begun to see the changes that we are going to see, though I think that the events of the spring of 2024 are going to give us a clue. And I think that to some extent, the events of 2020 and 21 give us a clue what is happening. Although I must say, as one who had front row seats to that, we need to do a lot better. So you can expect to live in a world that you perceive as changing irrevocably, except that more of what's going on is that you are changing irrevocably and witnessing that in some form in the world, because your ability to perceive is being changed by Pluto's effect on the underlying ground consciousness and pattern of who you are. So as you change, you're going to see the world differently, which is one of the only ways to really see the world differently, because there's a lot of people who see everything the same way, no matter where they are. And the kind of change of perception that I'm talking about has to come from within. And all of the houses that are here, whether we're talking Capricorn, which is a very special kind of within for you, it's kind of a veiled dimension in your chart where so much has happened the past 15 years, really even a lot longer than that, all the way out through the end of Taurus, are largely internal spaces in your chart. There's an exception here in the third, a strange exception in the third, because the third has a way of being a portal out of the chart, but its interests are still local. The interests are still close to home. So fourth is home, the third is close to home, the second is a internal evaluation of who you are, and the first is your sense of your own being, and the 12th is a deeply internalized, almost hidden from your own view sense of who you are. I mean, and you don't really even need any planets in the chart. If you're studying the chart just based on the story told by the progression of themes from one house to the next, you will learn a lot of astrology. And hopefully some of these, some of the, this kind of shaping of thought will come across in the next few minutes. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. So in this kind of striped zone, you've lived with Pluto there for quite a long time, and it was difficult. I mean, it was like having your own internal reality undermined, and in many ways eliminated or transformed. There's nothing you could do about it. It's just happening. And you're experiencing various different kinds of fears and different changes that were very difficult to account for, is all I can say. And then now the main agent, the main mover, the prime mover of that change, Pluto, has now entered Aquarius. And this is compelling you to make decisions. It's compelling you to evaluate your internal environment and your sense of who you are